Way back in 2017, a masterwork of gaming going by the name Hollow Knight was released to the public by Team Cherry, a group of indie Australian game devs. Over time, this game went from just a small indie title to being a massive cult hit that is regarded everywhere as one of the best games released this century. More and more people have found and discovered this game, and the small little indie darling has slowly become an insanely popular game, being much more renowned than massive AAA games such as Watch Dogs. This massive surge in popularity, however, has not stopped Team Cherry from continuing to be some of the best developers on the gaming scene. They interact with fans to keep the gaming community fantastic and still continue to make their game even better. After the initial launch of Hollow Knight, 4 humongous new DLCs were added to the game, each one adding huge chunks of gameplay from new bosses, new areas, charms, and so much more. Clearly, they love what they do, and they want to reward the loyal fanbase. These DLC continued until August 23, 2018, and just a few months later, that Valentine's Day, something new and intriguing was announced. Hollow Knight Silksong, the epic sequel to Hollow Knight, featuring a fan-favorite character and boss from the prior game. Fans instantly got hyped. Since then, we've received a little news here and a little news there, and about 150,000 release date speculations. Me included in that, unfortunately. With people guessing based on Team Cherry's track record, the trailers we've gotten, and so much more. And then, something weird happened. Team Cherry started updating Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight hadn't had its last update since only a few short months after the God Master DLC was made public. So naturally, this was very surprising and made many fans wonder why it was happening. The first one of these updates was made on the 21st of February 2021, which was quite a few months back, and ever since then, these updates have kind of been steadily trickling in and adding all manners of strange bug fixes into the game. Very few of these have been insanely game-altering, but there have been some debate in the speedrun community as to if these will change the definition of current patch now that the update is here. Now, these updates were incredibly surprising to say the least, given the fact that no updates had been made to Hollow Knight for over 2 years before these, as well as the fact that Team Cherry is also currently working on another game, Hollow Knight Silksong. Naturally, this all made me wonder, what do any of these updates mean for the progress of Hollow Knight Silksong, as well as Team Cherry? And I have a few ideas and theories to throw in your direction about what I think these updates will mean for Silksong. The first thing in my head is that Silksong is, or was, in a state of being polished. This would mean that a massive chunk of Silksong would be finished, and that the game would just be in a state of improving everything to meet the quality that Team Cherry wants it to be before launching any of their builds. This would probably be a lot of audio work and touch-up, and touching up a lot of the small visual things and animations that are already inside the game. I would assume that most of the actual content in the game is finished and already implemented, and that Team Cherry is just trying to make everything perfect by making sure every audio cue does exactly what it needs to for a fully immersive experience. I'm sure making every enemy to make their sounds at the correct time and not feel out of place is insanely difficult, especially given the massive variety we will be receiving in Silksong, so it's not absurd to assume that right now they're just touching up on these small little details. This time schedule also makes sense with the Hollow Knight updates, as they wouldn't be spending as long doing things as they would have while they were programming new bosses and environments, meaning they would have much more time to use on Hollow Knight updates. They also could have been using Hollow Knight to check how certain fixes would affect the game in their engine. I think this theory is kinda likely, but not as much as my next one. The next, and I believe the most likely theory, is that Silksong is currently in its playtesting phase. This hypothesis would fit very well with a lot of the facts that we already know or already believe. The first of this comes from the leaked potential release date from Nvidia's GeForce Now program. If you want to learn more about this, watch Fireborn's video, which heavily discusses the leak and all possible information on it. But the gist is that the date February 1st, 2022 was used as a release date for Silksong in the GeForce Now archives, and a lot of people do believe that this fact is true, and not just a placeholder date, unlike June 12th, 2020. And for this theory, we're not going to take that exact date and believe it's true, but we'll generally assume that the February 1st date is likely very, very close to when Silksong will actually release. This would mean that the release of the first Hollow Knight update on the 21st of February 2021 was approximately a year before this presumed release date for Silksong, which would make sense for playtesting a game of that size. One of the craziest facts about Silksong is how Team Cherry said that it would be so much larger than Hollow Knight, which is already a massive game with an immense map with so many nooks and crannies to explore and exploit. If Silksong is even larger than this, there would be way more to be able to exploit and break in the game. The tool system in Silksong also is a pretty massive hurdle to overcome when it comes to playtesting, as there's such a vast number of these tools which all have their own fun effects, but also the possibility of being used as a movement skip, similar to what Vengeful Spirit did in the first game. And this suddenly adds in a lot of things that Team Cherry would need to tweak as to not make the game lock you in a lot of times. With each room also being so much larger to accommodate for Hornet's larger size and much quicker movement, each one of these tweaks would also take significantly longer, and there would need to be so much more altered in each room. Now, where does my Silksong playtesting mumbo-jumbo fit in with the Hollow Knight updates? Well, having playtested quite a lot of indie games, which have a smaller size than Silksong by a significant margin, but I do know that they still take quite a long time to playtest. In 1 year, the length from the first update to this alleged release date fits within that size very well. Also, in this time where playtesting could have been occurring, Team Cherry would have had a lot of time spent waiting for feedback from testers, with lots of time to spare and not crazy much to do on the coding side. So it's quite possible that with this time, they decided to go and fix some common complaints in Hollow Knight so that they could tune up their skills on fixing little bugs and make sure they can get all this little minor tweaks in for Silksong. This would also make sure that the game could be played by even more people in the way it's intended to be and grow their audience for Silksong. The timetable also perfectly fits in my head, as I know from experience, playtesting patches sometimes have very long amounts of time in between them, as devs are waiting for feedback and new bugs to happen before they fix these patches. All of this likely means good news for actually getting Silksong sometime in the near future, and in the meantime, it means you get a slightly less buggy version of Hollow Knight for you to play. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe and share this with your friends. I reached 1K recently, which was a massive milestone, and I'd love if this channel could just keep growing and keep getting bigger. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful